From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. On the top story, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday said that heads will roll following the confirmation of the Office of the Executive Secretary that former Bamban Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo was able to leave the country. According to the President, the departure of Guo undermines the country's justice system and condescends public trust. The Chief Executive assured that the government will expose those behind the escape of Guo who betrayed the public's trust and helped her get away. A full-scale investigation has now been launched, and at the same time, President Marcos assured that those who have knowledge of the escape will answer to the law and be suspended. President Marcos Jr. said there is no place in public office for anyone who puts personal interest first before serving the Filipino people.
Dateline Malacañang.
In a related story, Malacañang ordered the Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA and the Department of Justice or DOJ to cancel the Philippine passports of dismissed Bamban Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo, her siblings, and the woman tagged in a Philippine offshore gaming operator or POGO in Porac, Pampanga Province. Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin issued a memorandum directing the DFA and the DOJ to take appropriate actions for the cancellation of the Philippine passports of Guo, her siblings Wesley and Sheila, and Catherine Cassandra Leong, the authorized representative of an illegal POGO raided in Porac. The directive came a day after it was revealed that Guo, who was also identified as Chinese national Guo Waping, reportedly left the country on July 18. Bersamin cited that under Republic Act or RA 11983 or the new Philippine Passport Act, the DFA Secretary may cancel a passport in the interest of national security. He said one of the grounds for the cancellation of a Philippine passport based on RA 11983 is when the court issues an order for its cancellation as the holder is a fugitive from justice. Bersamin, in the memorandum, said a criminal complaint has also been filed against Guo for qualified trafficking, adding that other cases are also being prepared for her supposed involvement in POGO operations. Ong, who was also cited in contempt by the House of Representatives for her failure to attend hearings, is also one of the individuals who reportedly met Guo in Singapore. The Bureau of Immigration or BI on Monday said Guo may have left the country without passing through the required checks of Philippine immigration authorities. The BI received the information that Guo left for Malaysia on July 19, arrived in Singapore on July 21, and traveled to Indonesia on August 18.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday greeted his wife, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, on her 65th birthday, expressing his gratitude for everything she has done for him and their children. In a social media post, the president said the First Lady deserves to slow down and be celebrated by those who hold her dearest, adding that the chief executive and his sons, Sandro, Simon, and Vincent, are most grateful for her. The First Lady was born on August 21, 1959 in Manila to Manuel Araneta Jr. and Milagros Cacho. She first met President Marcos in New York while studying and working as a lawyer in 1988. The two got married at the San Francisco Convent in Fiesole, Italy on April 17, 1993. The first couple has three sons: Ilocos Norte 1st District Representative Ferdinand Alexander, Joseph Simon, and William Vincent. The First Lady advocates education, culture, and traditional arts and crafts. She also initiated the renovation of the old buildings at Malacañang Palace in Manila to transform them into new tourism assets of the Philippines. Some of her projects include the Love for All, which provides free healthcare services, Likha for the promotion of local arts and crafts, the Maharlika Hangar, and the Presidential Library.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. met with the Department of Health or DOH to discuss the monkeypox or mpox situation in the country, which was declared by the World Health Organization or WHO as a global health emergency. DOH Secretary Teodoro Herbosa clarified that mpox is not an epidemic, just like COVID-19, and is not as contagious. According to Herbosa, there were only 10 cases of mpox in the country since December last year, and all recovered from the disease. The president held the meeting to make sure that the DOH is on top of it, following the latest case wherein a 33-year-old male with no travel history outside the country contracted the virus. Secretary Herbosa said a 10th laboratory confirmed mpox case of a man who had close, intimate contact 3 weeks before the onset of mpox symptoms was reported to the DOH on August 18th. The symptoms started more than a week ago with fever, which was followed 4 days later by findings of a distinct rash on the face, back, nape, trunk, groin, as well as palms and soles, according to the DOH. The case was seen in a government hospital where specimens were collected from the skin lesions and tested via real-time polymerase chain reaction or PCR test. The test results came back positive for monkeypox viral DNA. The DOH said common symptoms of mpox are a skin rash or mucosal lesions, which can last 2 to 4 weeks. The rashes are accompanied by fever, headache, muscle aches, back pain, low energy, and swollen lymph nodes. Mpox can be transmitted to humans through close, intimate contact with someone infectious, with contaminated materials like used clothes or utensils, or with infected animals. The health secretary added that keeping hands clean with soap and water or with alcohol-based sanitizers will help prevent the disease from spreading.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on August 6th appointed former Department of Energy or DOE Undersecretary Alexander Lopez as spokesperson of the National Maritime Council or NMC. Lopez, a former military officer, will speak on behalf of the NMC on issues surrounding the West Philippine Sea or WPS. The NMC was created by the President through issuance of Executive Order or EO 57 on March 25th in an effort to strengthen the Philippines' maritime security and increase maritime domain awareness among Filipinos amid China's aggressive tactics and threats in the WPS. The NMC, chaired by Executive Secretary Bersamin Lucas, is tasked to formulate policies and strategies to ensure a unified, coordinated, and effective governance framework for the country's maritime security and domain awareness. In a Malacañang briefing, Presidential Assistant for Maritime Concerns, General Andres Centino said Vice Admiral Lopez's designation was issued in order to have a unified messaging on issues related to the WPS. The retired Vice Admiral, for his part, gave a statement on the recent incident wherein two Philippine Coast Guard or PCG vessels were rammed by Chinese Coast Guard vessels that damaged the two PCG ships in Escoda Shoal while conducting a regular and routine logistics mission in the WPS on August 18. Lopez said China also violated international maritime laws, particularly the Convention on the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea, or COLREGS, and the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS.
The Philippine Coast Guard, using BRP Bagakay or MRRV 4410 and BRP Cape Engaño MRV 4411, conducted a regular and routine logistics mission in the West Philippine Sea in 18 August 2024. The early morning of 19 August, the Chinese Coast Guard vessels rammed and damaged the two Philippine Coast Guard vessels in the vicinity of Escoda Shoal. These unprofessional and dangerous actions of the Chinese Coast Guard vessels were in violation of international law, including UNCLOS and the 1972 Convention on the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea, all COLREGS. These illegal actions do not contribute to confidence-building measures necessary for the improvement of relations on the basis of mutual respect and for a rules-based international order. Hence, the Philippines urges China to refrain from aggressive actions and adhere to international law. The Philippines expresses serious concern over the deliberate harassment and infringement by China against Philippine sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction in the West Philippine Sea. The government remains committed to the President's directive for a diplomatic approach in a peaceful resolution of disputes. The Philippines will continue to uphold its rights and jurisdictions in the West Philippine Sea, sustain our routine maritime activities, and protect its territory and maritime zones from environmental degradation and other illegal activities.
Vice Admiral Lopez said that the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, is considering extending its provisional agreement with China to cover more of the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ. The DFA is also weighing the option of filing a diplomatic protest against these dangerous maneuvers. Meanwhile, Lopez said the PCG is currently gathering evidence to debunk China's claim that a Philippine vessel deliberately collided with a Chinese vessel in an unprofessional and dangerous manner.
Actually, the Philippine Coast Guard is just gathering all the evidence, all the pieces of evidence that would debunk the claim of China. And even, di ba, nakita nyo, they showed a video. Parang the intent of that is to tell the world na, oh, kita mo, kami ang binangga ng China, ng Philippines rather. But again, we'll just wait for all the documents, pictures and videos that the Philippine Coast Guard will release, maybe later on, showing otherwise. And it's just a matter of, ang problema kasi, what the Coast Guard vessels at the ground, the lies that their assets on the ground are issuing, pagdating sa taas, kine-carry. Kung titignan nyo, it's this whole halos parehong words, parehong statement. But in contrary, we are very deliberate in coming up with factual details so that, it's a more responsibility to our public and to a certain extent to our international audience that this is really what happened. Then let the public decide.
National Maritime Council NMC spokesperson Alexander Lopez.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Commission on Appointments, or CA, approved the ad interim appointment of Hans Leo Cacdac as Secretary of the Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW. Senator Grace Poe, during the plenary session, cited Cacdac's over 23 years of public service experience in the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, Philippine Overseas Employment Administration, or POEA, Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, and until his designation as Undersecretary and eventually as Officer in Charge of the DMW. Poe said Cacdac's vast understanding of labor and migration policies, coupled with his passion for serving and protecting the interests and welfare of overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, is truly worthy of admiration by everyone in the service. Senator Joel Villanueva, who expressed his support to the appointment as co-sponsor, recalled how Cacdac ensured that OFWs receive needed assistance from the government during the pandemic. Villanueva said that the Senate believes that Secretary Hans is the most deserving of this position as a son of OFWs. Cacdac's father was a World War II veteran who worked as a sound engineer, while his mother was a caregiver and daycare worker in the United States.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, assured that Filipinos who returned home from Lebanon will receive additional financial assistance from the government. In an interview, Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Cacdac declared that President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. had directed the DMW to review and change the financial assistance rate from 50,000 pesos to 75,000 pesos, which will come from DMW and the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA. Overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, will now receive a total of 150,000 pesos of financial assistance once they arrive in the country. According to Cacdac, the new financial assistance rate took effect last week, adding that even undocumented Filipinos will receive the said financial assistance. Besides this, Filipinos who returned home will be given psychosocial support and livelihood assistance. Meanwhile, 45 Filipino nationals from Lebanon that availed the government's repatriation program are expected to arrive in the country this week.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Commission on Overseas Filipinos, or CFO, said it would gather stakeholders, including Filipino immigrants, local government units, and the private sector to foster sustainable development under the administration of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. through the Balink Bayan Project. In a Bagong Pilipinas Ngayon briefing on Tuesday, CFO Chairperson Leo Arugay said the program aims to assist overseas Filipinos, or OFs, in making investments, donations, and skills transfer initiatives. Through the program, the CFO assists overseas Filipinos who want to start a business venture in the Philippines and helps them explore various investment opportunities available, especially in their hometowns. It also encourages them to give back and help less fortunate Filipinos by facilitating the flow of assistance from abroad to specific beneficiaries in the Philippines. The program provides overseas Filipinos access to government online services, Arugay added. He said the CFO will hold the 2024 Balink Bayan Stakeholders Conference in Muntinlupa City on August 28 and August 29 to gather their partners and update them on the program. The event will enable participants to learn from experts and empower them to integrating migration into local development plans.
Dateline Malacañang.
Japan's State Minister for Foreign Affairs, Tsuge Yoshifumi, on Tuesday met with Philippine Postal Corporation, or PhilPost Chairman Steven Cruz, and Postmaster General and CEO Luis Carlos to discuss how Japan could help PhilPost improve its postal services through digitalization. Tsuge, former postmaster at the Nagoya Moritaka Post Office, and the Filipino officials also discussed ways to maintain PhilPost's universal postal obligation of delivering mail nationwide, especially in remote areas. Japan is keen on collaborating with PhilPost on projects that will comprehensively carry out a broad range of partnerships on modernization initiatives at the mail exchange centers and possible cooperation on banking services, according to a PhilPost news release. Tsuge noted the importance of collaborating and building diplomatic ties between Japan and the Philippines, saying the trust between the two countries' postal agencies has been fostered with a 2-day mission of the Japan Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications, or MIC, and Japan Post, together with the Embassy of Japan at the postal facilities of PhilPost in March. He expressed confidence that cooperation in various areas would contribute to further development of postal services in digitalization and the growing friendship between Japan and the Philippines. The cooperation will enable PhilPost to improve and optimize its mail delivery to meet the growing demand, especially in e-commerce. Tsuge and his party visited the postal operations, particularly at the Central Mail Exchange Center, or CMEC, in Pasay City. Japan has one of the best postal services and infrastructure in the world, and Japan Post is the only Asian country that is level 10 in the Integrated Index for Postal Development, or 2IPD 2022 of the Universal Postal Union. Japan Post Co. Limited, a member of the Japan Post Group, and operates approximately 24,000 post offices nationwide, providing universal postal banking and insurance services.
Dateline Malacañang.
Finally, for Dateline Malacañang, the Philippines is studying the possible expansion of the coverage of the Provisional Arrangement in Rotation and Resupply, or RORE missions in Ayungin Shoal with China to cover other areas of the West Philippine Sea, or WPS. Newly appointed National Maritime Council, or NMC spokesperson Alexander Lopez said, following the latest incident in the WPS where 2 Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, vessels were damaged after being harassed and rammed by China Coast Guard, or CCG, ships in the waters adjacent to Escoda Shoal early Monday. Lopez said the arrangement has been useful in ensuring the timely provision of supply to troops stationed at BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal. He said they will let the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, study the possible expansion of the arrangement. The provisional arrangement was agreed by the Philippines and China last month to de-escalate the situation in the South China Sea and manage differences through dialogue and consultation. This follows a series of confrontations in Ayungin Shoal, where the grounded BRP Sierra Madre serves as the country's outpost. Meanwhile, Philippine Navy, or PN spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, WPS Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, said the PN is committed to ensuring the habitability of the BRP Sierra Madre LS-57 in Ayungin Shoal in the WPS. Trinidad said they will ensure that the Philippines' presence in Ayungin Shoal is permanent. The Navy official also rejected China's false narratives against the BRP Sierra Madre and its call for the pullout of the troops manning the vessels.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.